Well, hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I'm so glad you could join me today. It is a Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock here in Colorado. Got home not too long ago from church. Went to church. But anyway, today is another day of, well, look at this. I'm going to tell you what's going on in the background in a minute. But this video, I'm going to be featuring a ton of new, fascinating, juicy titles from Osprey Publishing in collaboration with Bloomsbury Publishing. But these are all Osprey titles, and one of them I'm kind of working through for my Historathon 2024. This wasn't a part of my pile of possibilities, but it came up, and I'm like, this is perfect for our second quarter readings, which cover the time period from 500 AD to 1500. So I've got a big book here for that I'm going to be covering or reading for Historathon 2024. So I wanted to show you that. As you know, Osprey has all these wonderful, just slim military history guides and everything else that I love. And we've got a whole new selection of freshly released topics in their small series, as well as some juicy histories. And I've got some final finished copies of. So, yes, before I get to those, however, So, coming soon to this channel, I'm going to be making a video showing you some new bookcases that we've installed. And one of the locations is, you're either going to love the idea or you're going to be like, Peg, you have a problem. And maybe both. But it wasn't even my idea. It was Martine's idea. And it's actually quite genius. But I have to finish shelving and seeing how it looks. And then I'm going to make a video for you guys. But yeah, I've got more bookcases to help house some of my books. But then that's it. I'm not buying any more bookcases. So whatever comes into this house that I want to keep, something's got to go. That's the hard and fast rule. So those books back there you see on the floor have yet to be reshelved. So sorry for the mess. All right, without further ado, Osprey titles. Oh, every month we've got new titles coming out from Osprey, and they're fantastic. So this is a coffee-sized table book. Definitely something to show off, conversation starter. But the text is really good too, and I'm kind of just working my way through it and enjoying it because I love great historic artwork. So for my Historathon 2024 read, I've now switched over to this. This is The Wars of the Roses, The Medieval Art of Graham Turner. Again, big coffee table-sized book, okay? I'll read to you what the back says here. The period of civil strife in the second half of the 15th century, now known as the Wars of the Roses, was one of the most dramatic and tumultuous in English history. Since first being inspired by a visit to Bosworth battlefield nearly 30 years ago, renowned historical artist Graham Turner has built a worldwide reputation for his depictions of this colorful and troubled era. His paintings and prints prized by historians and collectors for their attention to detail and dramatic and atmospheric compositions. This new study contains a detailed history of the wars alongside a unique and comprehensive collection of over 120 of his paintings and drawings, many created especially for this book. It provides meticulously researched details of arms, armor, settings, and countless other aspects of the period while bringing to life the human stories behind the turbulent events. So this is just a fantastic resource, and if you love great historical artwork, you've got the acknowledgement. I'm going to try to give you guys a feel for this. You know, arms and armor. Just look at these epic type portraits here. Love it. So this has been a fun book just to kind of kick back in my free moments, read, look at this wonderful artwork of the Wars of the Roses. yeah, this is pretty much just got everything in here. Not just artwork, yeah, photos and icons, artifacts. So a beautiful new edition. So I wanted to let you guys know about this one for sure, and that I'm also reading it for Historathon 2024, which will second quarter wraps up at the end of this month, or yeah, end of this month. It's June now. Hard to believe. Okay, and as we know, Peg's got a lot going on in June, with it being the 80th anniversary of D-Day, doing lots of military history on this channel. We do lots of military history on this channel anyway, but especially in June. Be reading some D-Day history, continuing on my Historathon reading as I can, and this is a big one. So very excited about that. Let's get on to some of these other books that are brand new and out from Osprey. This one looks... Okay, so in one of the first really good books we got here to highlight before we get to the slim volumes is 1217, The Battles That Saved England by Catherine Hanley. This just came out early last month. It says here, an engrossing history of the pivotal year 1217 when invading French forces were defeated and the future of England secured. In 1215, King John had agreed to the terms of Magna Carta, but he then reneged on his word. Bad boy! He then reneged on his word, plunging the kingdom into war. The rebellious barons offered the throne to the French Prince Louis, and set off the chain of events that almost changed the course of English history. Louis first arrived in May 1216, was proclaimed king in the heart of London, and by the autumn had around half of England under his control. However, the choice of a French prince had enormous repercussions, now not merely an internal rebellion, but a war in which the defenders were battling to prevent a foreign takeover. John's death in October 1216 left the throne in the hands of his 9-year-old son Henry and his regent, William Marshal, which changed the face of the war again. For now, the king trying to fight off an invader was not a hated tyrant, but an innocent child. 1217 charts the nascent sense of national identity that began to swell. The 3 key battles would determine England's destiny. The fortress of Dover was besieged, the city of Lincoln was attacked, and a great invasion force set sail, and unusually for the time, was intercepted at sea. Catherine Hanley expertly navigates medieval siege warfare, royal politics, and fighting at sea to bring this remarkable period of English history to life. Yes, she's familiar to me. She's written Matilda, Empress, Queen, and Warrior in 2019, and her most recent one was Two Houses, Two Kingdoms. I believe I have that one. Yes, Two Houses, Two Kingdoms, A History of France and England, 1100 to 1300, which came out in July of 2022. Again, brand new book from Osprey. It is out right now. Came out less than a month ago. So check out 1217. I know I will. And now we're going to move on to some fun stuff with pirates. Pirates! The Pirate Menace, Uncovering the Golden Age of Piracy by Angus Constam. Osprey is just knocking it out of the park lately with these standalone histories. This new account explores the most notorious pirates in history and how their rise and fall can be traced back to a single pirate haven in Nassau. Angus Constam, one of the world's leading pirate experts. That would be a fun job title to have. I'm the world expert in pirates. I mean, didn't you as a kid just grow up wanting to be that? He has brought his 30 years of research to create the definitive book on the golden age of piracy. Many of the privateers the British had used to prey on French and Spanish shipping during the War of the Spanish Succession turned to piracy. The pirates took over Nassau on the Bahamian island, or is it Bahamian? I say Bahamian and then it's Bahama. I don't know why I do that, but on the Bahamian island of New Providence, and turned it into their own pirate haven where shady merchants were happy to buy their plunder. It became the hub of a pirate network that included some of the most notorious pirates in history: Blackbeard, Calico Jack Rackham, Charles Vane, and Bartholomew Roberts. The growth of piracy led to a major surge in attacks in the Caribbean and along North America's Atlantic seaboard. With the fragile maritime economy of the Americas threatened with collapse, major ports were threatened, and trade brought to a standstill, the British government finally declared war on the pirates. Pirate Menace draws on extensive research as well as a wide range of first-hand accounts to produce a new history of the heyday of historical piracy. So, this looks pretty good. See if we got any. Got some wood engravings here. Wood prints, is that what they call them? Henry Jennings. We got Henry Morgan. Of course, you can't have pirates without Henry Morgan, right? Oh, beautiful. Don't we wish we were there right now? Wow. Although it's going to be 89 here today in the metro corridor of Colorado. Wow, look at that beach. That's Nassau, right? Nassau. Yeah, I've never been. I've never been to any of the Bahamas. You know, I didn't really travel much outside of the Air Force, and even with the Air Force, they were very limited trips. But I went to a few exotic locales for a very brief amount of time. I went to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Oh, thank you for that trip. Crete, that was the all-time highlight of my trip. Landed on the island of Crete, where the Minoan civilization began, and oh, I wish I could have stayed longer. It was so beautiful, but also very poor. People were still living in little shanties with goats running around and no electricity. Yeah, and then I went to England, to the Air Force Base there. Never made it to London, but yeah, and I've lived in some southern states, even though I'm a Yankee, born and bred. Don't ask me how I... You know, when you're a kid, you get moved around, and you have no say in it until you become an adult. But anyway, yes, maybe someday I'll go to an island and see if I like... But you know what? I'm not really... Sorry, a little private moment here. I am not a beach person. I don't really care for beaches, although... I don't mind like looking at the beach and kind of kicking back somewhere where I can be shaded and not dying of sunstroke or heat stroke with a cold drink, a book. Then I'd be okay for a little while. But yeah, there you have it. Okay, so we're moving on. Next, outstanding new standalone World War II history here by this author, who I've shown on this channel. Oh, I've got two by the same author here. Yes, so this is his, I'm going to show you his most recent book, and not his most recent book, the book before the most recent book, so the his penultimate recent book. It is Dunkerchen. It's Robert Kershaw. It's Dunkerchen, 1940, The German View of Dunkirk. Yes, by Robert Kershaw, who is, let me give you a little bit of information on Robert Kershaw. He's written a lot of stuff with Osprey, and I'll be showing you. And in fact, talking of Crete, my next book touches on it, which is why I can't wait to read it. I'm going to see if I can remember the village where I stayed overnight, if it was mentioned. Anyway, let's get into Dunkerchen, 1940. By Robert Kershaw. It says here, this is the first major history to uncover what went wrong for the Germans at Dunkirk. As supreme military commander, Hitler had seemingly achieved a miracle after the swift capitulation of Holland and Belgium. But just 7 kilometers, sorry, I heard something outside my door. But just 7 kilometers outside Dunkirk, the only port through which the trapped British expeditionary force might escape, the Panzers. Wow, if only the Nazi panzers were just a harmless bunch of pantsers, you know, where they just would pull people's pants down, you know, as jokes. Panzers. I actually pronounce panzers, pantsers. The panzers came to a shuddering stop. Hitler had lost control of his stunning advance. Only a detailed interpretation of the German perspective, historically lacking to date, can provide answers as to why. Drawing on his own military experience, his German language skills, and his historian's eye for detail, Robert Kershaw creates a new history of this famous battle which delves into the under-evaluated major miscalculations of the Germans, both strategic and tactical, that arguably cost Hitler the war. Indeed, if you think about it, Dunkirk The miracle at Dunkirk was by no means a fait accompli. That could have gone even worse than it had gone. I mean, you know, that could have been it. That could have been lights out, curtains for the Allies. Why are you? I hear someone laughing off camera. Are you laughing at me off camera?
No, Daisy.
Okay, Daisy's going to join me for this recording. All right, so Robert Kershaw's Dunkirk in 1940. So then now, his most recent book, which is, I'm so excited about, speaking of the island of Crete. So Robert Kershaw's most, out right now, brand new book is The Hill. The brutal fight for Hill 107 in the Battle of Crete. And many of you out there might be like, oh, I didn't know Crete was even involved in World War II fighting. Of course it was. Of course it was. It was right in the way. I was right in the Mediterranean. Someone was going to lay claim to that island for logistical and tactical launches. You need to have a base, a beachhead, and all that kind of stuff. So, just for tactical reasons alone, you would need to be in control of that island because anyone sailing by would be in danger. So, this just came out. Yes, another one that came out on May 7th. So it's out right now. Out. This is the groundbreaking history of the. Well, first we should say the critically acclaimed author of Dunkirk in 1940. Right, and I love the look and feel of these books. They got a similar look. This has got a heavier font, like a bolded font. I do love book design as well. It's one of my. I love those things. Okay, so. This is a groundbreaking history of the epic 3-day battle for Hill 107. Okay, in this remarkable history, we discover each of the individuals whose actions determined the outcome of the battle for Hill 107, the key event that decided the campaign to capture the vitally strategic island of Crete in May 1941. All the events are narrated through the filter of these eyewitnesses. The Allied perspective is from the summit of Hill 107. We experience the fear and the adrenaline of a lowly platoon commander, Lieutenant Ed McAcra, perilously positioned at the top of the hill, alongside the combat stress and command fatigue of the battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Leslie Andew. It says Andew in this pub sheet, but I'm wondering if it's Andrew, but we'll see. In contrast, the German view is looking up from below as they cling to the slopes while simultaneously, I'm thinking there's some typos in this pub sheet, while simultaneously dazzled by the morning glare and decimated by defensive fire. We join the regimental doctor, Dr. Heinrich Neumann, as he assumes command of one battalion and leads a daring nighttime charge towards the summit. The hill details what was felt, heard, or seen throughout the battle for both attacker and defender. Drawing upon original combat reports, diary entries, letters, and interviews, the battle is brought vividly to life. Well, how so is that? The narrative reads like a Shakespearean tragedy. The soldiers revealing their stories in and around the shadows of Hill 107. That sounds great. Plenty of photos and in the insert. Look at these guys on the island of Crete. Yeah, that's a battle I'm not real familiar with, but I know that these were in play. So I'm kind of looking forward to learning more about the actual how it unfolded tactically. So I hit myself in the face with this. Robert Kershaw, The Hill, and Dunkirk in 1940. There you go. All right. One more book on World War II while we're here. I was so happy to get a final copy of this. We've seen it in galley form. I'm sorry. I have to wet my whistle here. We've seen this in galley form last year, I think late last year. And this writer, he is fantastic, and he is an acclaimed Eastern Front historian. That's really where his focus lies. This is Preet, I think it's Preet Buttar, and this is Meat Grinder, the battles for the Rzhev salient, 1942 to 43. I got a finished copy from Osprey. Thank you so much. I've got several books by Preet Buttar, and he is thorough. He steeps himself in the source material. Oh, this is some brutal stuff here. And the Eastern Front of World War II has been really, it kind of been my new niche interest of World War II, is the Eastern Front. So what are we covering here? Let's take a look. All right, and here's our author, Preet. There's Preet. Yeah, he's written a lot of books. Written by acclaimed Eastern Front historian Preet Buttar, this is an engrossing history of the desperate battles for the Rzhev salient, a forgotten story brought to life by the memoirs of German and Russian soldiers that recount the harrowing experience of fighting. I'm trying to find out like a map, because I'm not sure where that was at, but anything by Buttar is fantastic, and if anyone knows how to pronounce that last name, please let me know which is the correct way. Yeah, like chapter 1 we've got Barbarossa, and then chapter 2 is the Red Army's counteroffensive. So yeah, this is going to be great. Always happy to see a new Buttar title. And here's another gentleman. I have a couple more of his books. In fact, the last one by him on this channel we've seen is one called The Last Viking. I believe about King Alfred. So what is this one about? Bam! This is Don Holloway's At the Gates of Rome, The Battle for a Dying Empire. Nice little trade paperback from Osprey. And this book got some nice color inserts. It's a little smaller, little paperback. It says here, it took more than a single generation for the centuries-old Roman Empire to fall. In those critical decades, two men, former comrades on the battlefield, rose to prominence. General Flavius Stilicho, the power behind the Roman throne, dedicated himself to restoring imperial glory, only to find himself struggling for his life against political foes. Alaric, king of the Goths, desired to be a friend of Rome, was betrayed by it, and was given no choice but to become its enemy. Battling each other to a standstill, these two warriors ultimately overcame their differences in order to save the empire from enemies on all sides. And when one of them fell, the others took such vengeance as had never been seen in history. Weaving together ancient chroniclers' accounts, Don Holloway tells an unforgettable story of betrayal, politics, intrigue, and war for the heart and soul of the Roman Empire. So, oh yeah, I've got two books. In fact, I just showed one recently. I've shown you The Battle for the Island Kingdom is a brand new book that's out. And there's The Last Viking was about King Harold Hardrada, not King Alfred. I don't know what I was talking about. Disregard that. So, At the Gates of Rome, The Battle for a Dying Empire. All right. What else? Now we've got our slim volumes, so I'm not going to read each one individually, obviously. As many of you know, Osprey makes this wonderful series of these kind of shorter books, one-stop references on a certain war or campaign or topic having to do with a military conflict. It is the Essential Histories, is the line of histories. And the most recent one I've received is the Soviet-Afghan War, 1979 to 89 by Gregory Fremont Barnes. Again, there's very skinny little reads. If you just want to dip your toes in and learn about something you've never heard of before, I can highly recommend these as a great way to start. They're very visual. Lots of photos, maps, charts. Gives you what you need and lots of different little sidebars. It's a really friendly way to introduce the history newbie or someone just starting off in their studies to try one of these essential histories. So this one obviously is about the Soviet-Afghan War. See here, respected military historian Gregory Fremont Barnes examines the disastrous invasion and its enormous implications on the global stage. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to read all, but I thought I would read this one. Most significantly, its exposure of fatal defects in the Soviet political structure, which played a decisive role in the disintegration of the USSR. For Afghanistan, Soviet occupation prolonged the existing bitter civil war, which by 1996 left the Taliban in control. Great, and laid the foundation for NATO intervention in 2001. Its significance often overlooked, the Soviet-Afghan War marks one of the seminal events of the late 20th century. So another great entry in the Essential Histories series. I'm going to break up these other ones by their wow. I think, okay, there's two of the same line here, but the rest are each different. This is so crazy. Yeah, Osprey has tons of different lines. Okay, we have two campaign versions. We have two campaigns, two fleets. And then, yeah, like I said, you can identify them by the series groupings, by their color, their design. They're numbered. Same thing with the campaign, as you can see. Same type of coloring on the spine with numbered versions. But the rest these are all different series. So let's just hop in. Let's go to Men at Arms, which is a very slim series, but I already have number 1 of this. So this is the Union Army, 1861 to 65, Part 2, Eastern and New England States. It's by Ron Field and illustrated by Marco Caparoni. I've got the first one. I think I showed that to you in a recent video. Again, just handy dandy guides. So apparently the Union Army one will have 3 versions of this. The first one that I showed you, not sure which armies it covered, but anyway, this is talking about Eastern and New England states. Their regimental uniforms, their insignia, so everything you need to know about that. And as a Civil War fan, I love all of it. So we've got the Union Army, and it looks at their Men at Arms series is all about the uniforms, equipment, history, and organization of the world's military forces, past and present. So this is Men at Arms 555, number 555. All right. I'll do that. Another fun series that I really enjoy is the Combat series, and this one is U.S. Marine versus Japanese Soldier. Saipan, Guam, and Peleliu, 1944, by Greg Adams. So this one covers the invasion or the offensive launched by the United States against the Japanese forces holding the Mariana Islands and Palau. The U.S. Marine Corps played a vital role in this campaign alongside Army Navy forces, while their Japanese opponents mounted a desperate defense amid the harsh island terrain. This book assesses both sides. Both sides' doctrine, weapons, and battlefield effectiveness in key moments during 3 battles of the Pacific War. Here's some charts on this. Is the attack on Guam. All right. Photographs into combat. Just goes into each battle very briefly. But it kind of pits them against each other, which is, so that the book is kind of divided, like I think half and half. And I always love the centerpiece artwork. It's always a centerfold. Just goes across the spread there. Love it. Love it. So this is Combat number 77. All right. And then there's a series called Elite, and this is Elite number 256, and this is covering the War Underground, 1914 to 18, tactics and equipment. This is also by Simon Jones, illustrated by Adam Hook. Yeah, okay, I'm just making sure I'm giving proper credit to everyone. So, and then the Elite is the history of military forces, artifacts, personalities, and techniques of warfare. And this one, 1914 to 18, covering the Western Front, but also the Gallipoli and Italian theaters. This study explores 3 aspects of World War I: below ground, military mining, attack tunnels, and dugouts. In 1914 to 17, the underground war was a product of static trench warfare, essential to survive it and part of both sides' attempts to overcome it. But in 1917 to 18, it was rendered largely obsolete by the development of the all-arms battle as mobility was restored to the battlefield. Military mining was a hidden world of heroism and terror in which hours of suspenseful listening were spent monitoring the steady picking of unseen opponents, edging quietly towards the enemy, and judging when to fire a charge. Break-ins to enemy mine galleries resulted in hand-to-hand fighting in the darkness. Isn't that crazy? There's some photos to just give you a feel for that. It's wild. Kind of forget about the underground war that was going on. All the tunnels. So that's another great addition. And that's Elite. And then we go over to the Air Campaign. Air Campaign number 40. Tokyo, 1944 to 45. The Destruction of Imperial Japan's Capital by Mark Lardis. Illustrated by Eduardo A. Grolt. Yeah, so this one covers the U.S. Army Air Force and how it launched a 111-plane B-29 strike against Tokyo in November of 1944. The first since the morale-boosting Doolittle raid of 1942. From then until VJ Day, Tokyo would be hit 25 times in 20 raids from B-29s based in the Marianas and by 5 strikes from U.S. Navy carrier task forces. The campaign included the single deadliest air raid in human history when an estimated 100,000 people were killed by the firestorm created by Operation Meeting House on March 10th, 1945. Yep. Oh, my Lord. Wow. Look at this artwork. Look at that. That is stunning. That's like the vision from the Bombardier, I would think. Oh, wow. Oh, and then more. Look at these. Get the Tokyo Rose. Picture of the Tokyo Rose there. These are, again, I love Osprey books. They're so fantastic. I'm a big-time map and chart person. I when I'm reading about movements of men and material and for army forces, I'm always looking at the map if there's one included to kind of see and kind of follow along as I'm reading where people were moving, how they were moving. Tactics are really interesting to me. I know it's not interesting to a lot of people, but it is to me. I'm a little bit of a nerd that way. So Tokyo, 1944 to 45. Air Campaign 40. Okay. Then let's go to let's go to the Navy real quick. We'll go to the Fleet, which is a brand new series. They only have 6 out right now, 6 or 7 titles out. But and I have all of them so far. Yay! I can't say that about the rest of these because there's a lot of them. This is this is Fleet number 5. Royal Navy Home Fleet, 1939 to 41, the last line of defense at Scapa Flow. There's a name we recognize again, Angus Constam, who is wrote the book on the Pirate Menace. It's illustrated by Jim Laurier. Now, these fleets, they include detailed original artwork, 3D diagrams and maps, and of course, expert analysis. This is really cool. Again, I just cannot get over the artwork. It's so good. And then, I guess these are the 3D maps of sorts. Oh, this is cool. All right. Kind of shows you how the fleets were organized. Let's see. What is this one about without me reading the entire thing? Okay, so in this one, Angus Constam explores the fighting power, organization, roles, and battles of the home fleet. the British Royal Navy's home fleet in the crucial first years of World War II, when it was Britain's most powerful fighting force, anchored in the northern bastion of Scapa Flow. Looks like he's going to cover the home fleet actions included the loss of HMS Hood, the sinking of the Bismarck, which was a big one, and countering the invasion of Norway, another big thing, which was Germany's biggest amphibious operation of the war. So happy to add Royal Navy Home Fleet to my fleet collection. And now number 6. Didn't even realize they had a Navy, but we're covering it. They're covering everything at Osprey. We've got Italian battle fleet, 1940 to 43. La Squadra. It's called La Squadra. The Pride of the Regia Marina by Enrico Cernuschi, illustrated by Eduardo A. Grult. Again. It says here in the 1920s, resurgent Italy was intent upon reshaping the balance of power in the Mediterranean and beyond, challenging not only the French but also the Royal Navy's Mediterranean fleet. At the heart of the strategy, the Regia Marina would deploy a powerful battleship-led fleet known in Italy as La Squadra to make the Mediterranean an Italian sea once more. Well, we'll see how that goes for them. So, just fun stuff if you're a military geek like I am. That's fascinating. Just fascinating. Okay, and now we're going to close out with two campaign entries that are brand new, and I'm really excited. We'll stick with the World War II one, and we'll end with an ancient history. So this is campaign number 399. We're on the cusp of 400. But this is the Philippines Naval Campaign, 1944 to 45, the battles after Leyte Gulf, by Mark Still, and illustrated by Adam Tooby. Again, slim little volumes here. The events that took place in the aftermath of the Battle of Leyte Gulf are often overlooked by military historians, yet an impressive array of naval operations continued in the Philippines up to January 1945. These included, on the Japanese side, the largest convoys to a contested island during the war, the first kamikaze campaign, and the second largest Imperial Japanese Navy surface operation during the last 9 months of the conflict. On the American side, U.S. forces were involved in efforts to cut off Leyte from enemy reinforcement, a massive amphibious invasion off Luzon, and large-scale operations by Task Force 38. These are so cool. Oh no. Woo. These things are creepy. They kind of show you step by step what's happening in that moment. You know. Kamikaze fighter just going right in. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy stuff. Great maps. Make it very clear. Great photos. And of course, do I have to say it? No, I don't. All right. So campaign 399. Oh, let's see if this one's campaign 400. It is. And I'm really excited for this one because I love me some military or ancient military history, ancient history, and I love. Why do I love the Punic War so much? But I do. And this is the Second Punic War in Iberia, 220 to 206 BC, from Hannibal at the Tagus to the Battle of Ilipa by Mir Bamanyar, illustrated by Marco Caparoni. And it is number 400. You see that on the spine there? All right. All about the Second Punic War in Iberia. Let's see, Hannibal, Iberia was one of 3 crucial theaters during the Second Punic War between Carthage and Rome. Hannibal of Carthage's siege of Saguntum in 219 BC triggered a conflict that led to immense human and material losses on both sides, pitting his brother Hasdrubal against the Republican Roman army seeking to gain control of the peninsula. Then in 208 BC, the famous Roman general Scipio Africanus defeated Hasdrubal at Bacula, forcing Hasdrubal's army out of Iberia and on to its eventual annihilation at the Mataras. In this work, military historian Mir Baminyar brings to life the key personalities and events of this important theater of the war and explains why the Roman victory at Bacula led to a strategic shift and Carthage's eventual defeat. Sweet. It's going to cover some major battles here. Battle of the Tagus River. I love when they do these big sweeping ones where they kind of show you the broad movements of, like, you know, infantry units, cavalry. Let's see here. This is great. Oh, interesting. And then let me see. Let me get some. Okay, maybe not as stunning. This is just more like, yeah, there's people. All right. But there's lots of cool stuff besides. So, again, just wonderfully researched, wonderfully written. You know, Osprey is a great resource for military history that you want to be able to grasp. These short guides are a fantastic way to go. I highly recommend them. They're just a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to read as well. And then we've got some great new histories ranging all over the place. Pirates, World War II, medieval England, ancient Rome. So where's the roses and artwork? What can you do? All right, guys. Well, let me know what you thought about that. I'll be back soon with another video, and hopefully soon I can reveal to you some of my new ways of storing my volumes. So, got more work to do here on a Sunday, but for now I wanted to upload this video and have something ready for you guys so you can nosh on either today or to start your week off right. So until next time, thanks for joining me here at the History Shelf. Be sure to come back again, and take care. Bye-bye.